every day to show up and provide for all of those folks, okay, as a leader. So if you think, well, yeah, I just got a few employees, well, no, what about their family? Everybody's relying on you as a leader to do the right thing and be ethical. I don't do the right thing every day. I make mistakes. In fact, it's what I learned from those mistakes that I think has gotten us better. But again, I make mistakes. I believe all of us make mistakes here and there. But if you go in the mindset that, say you got 140, you're right, 200, 210, 280 people under your belt each and every day, it's a pretty big responsibility. So it has to be taken very seriously. So real quick, on as far as the business goes, does anybody know what the national average is for a plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical contractor net profit for for North America? What their net profit is? 1.2%. Okay, you guys have heard this before.
They know.
2%, 1%, 3%, 0, negative. Does anybody know what McDonald's is? 22? 17? All right. Franchise 25. McDonald's is one of the higher ones, or the highest one, 25 to 22%. So that means for every dollar somebody spends, right, 22 cents to 25 cents goes in their pockets, obviously before, interest and taxes and stuff like that. Okay?
Interesting.
So, as Joe alluded to, come on, this is a tough business, but we got to be in it to make money.
You at least be as good as a hamburger place.
Yeah, right? At least minimum wage hamburger.
Now, Mike has a sequence of things. Have you ever heard of this? Mike, go ahead. What's this question that you want to ask people?
Okay, so we hire people, and I think most of you know me. I spend a ton of money on training. I think our budget this year is a little under $140,000 for training.
Thank God. You see why we got him up here now? He's my buddy.
I see I got somebody's attention.
There's a lot of people in this front row who
yes, Joe, you have an allocation in our budget.
I got it over here. A lot of people in this front row here. Yeah. You guys, he's second place to some of the people in the front row right here, actually. So, believe it or not. So, but he's still a great guy. Trying to maneuver. Thanks. I forgot his name. The guy who spends the most money. So, I forgot what he looked like.
So anyway, what if I train them and they leave? Right? That's the big fear factor. And then the next slide. But what if I never train them and they stay? Right? So you bring somebody into your corporation and they basically learn their position within the first week, and then they just repeat it for the next 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. Does that sound like a successful track? So you got to pick and choose your battles, and some people are going to stick and some people won't. I think one of the things that we've done, I think Marco's done a fantastic job, is he's really got very specific on the hiring process. Because I'll hire anybody. Fog a mirror and I'll hire somebody.
One thing I saw was very impressive is that the training schedule is not a static schedule. It changes every week. That there's not always, it's not just a given. Sometimes you have different subjects or different agendas that you approach, right?
Right.
And so who does that? Who's responsible for that, coordinating that kind of thing? Because I know myself coming up with new training material every week is hard to do.
Sure.
Where do you get that from?
That responsibility falls on Marco,
yes.
and he's done a phenomenal job with that.
Nice job, Marco. That's a heck of a. Just think of new ideas and things to talk to your employees about. That's a full-time job in itself, and there he is, right there, a full-time guy doing it. You get anything from our website at all? Good. I hope
we use you on occasion.
That's what you're supposed to do. Every now and then, yeah. Good stuff. Meeting planner topics. Here's some different topics that you go through. Go ahead, Mike. You want to say anything about this, or just different things up there that may be hard to read? Go ahead. You want to read some of that stuff?
Well, one of the things we do, and we've been doing this for even when we were at a lesser revenue, is that we meet once a month for 4 hours, and sometimes that can be a little taxing. But we have an agenda, and we go through this agenda, and we do brainstorming. And the first thing that we do is, if anybody's heard of Jack Welch, he's got a book called Winning. Every year, GE goes through and does an analysis on their employees, and they cut the bottom 10% because they don't think it's fair. If Joe worked for me and he was an underperformer and I kept him around year after year after year, and then I gave him a gold watch and I said, by the way, you really suck, that wasn't fair to Joe, right? So what we do is we evaluate our staff while we're eating lunch, and we go through, but I've got even more sophisticated now. Again, it's how you're thinking. Now we look at our vendors. So we do an analysis on our vendors, because once we started growing, we realized that our vendors were kind of flatlining. Some of them were. People that I've had for 9-10 years, long-term relationships, right? It's not personal, it's business, okay? So as you evolve, you start looking at a bigger picture. So we brainstorm. We're looking at KPIs, key performance indicators. We're looking at our budget. We're rolling out our budget. What kind of contest, whether it's going to Vegas for the whole company, doing iPads. Can I get a vendor to pay for that? A lot of times, instead of it coming out of the corporation profits. Is there a company that we need to go visit that we've heard some really good things about and that we don't really do a good job at? Do we need to bring somebody into our corporation to do an analysis? I highly recommend it. If you've never had a consultant come in, have a consultant come in. Thank you, Steve.
Know any good consultants? I'm just
Cool.
teasing.
Okay.
Anyway, good stuff here. Meeting planner topics. By the way, I just let everybody know, instead of having the email thing on the Service Super Summit website, you'll have access to all the videos of this summit from this year as well as from last year. And we will put the PowerPoints up there so you can view the PDF of the PowerPoint slides. So if you want to see these in bigger definition than what you see up here, you're going to see that. You'll have access to that website to log in as an attendee, so you have that information, okay? So you got that going for you. Yes, Marty.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I may be totally out of line, but my motivation for growing my company is so I can have more freedom from it. Do you think as your company grows, you have more freedom from it or less?
That wasn't my intent. You can ask Marco. I told him once we hit 100 million, I don't know what I'm going to do. So there's my freedom at that point in time. If I want to choose to stay in it, I might say, hey, that was pretty easy. Let's do 200 million.
So what was your motivation, if you don't mind me asking?
What was my motivation?
Yeah. You go, like, what is it, that key, or what is that thing that, is it contribution? Do you want to make contribution to people's lives? Or what is it, like, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, that was number one. When I hired Lauren, the first thing that I wanted her, the first priority of her job was make sure that we were able to give back to the community. So we do have a charitable donation every month that we give to people. So I wanted to actually make sure that we were giving back. We will start increasing that. I believe it's next year in my plan to give back even more, and then I want to start doing like maybe some furnaces and faucets and toilets and what have you, and really outreach them. That'll probably be a separate organization at that point in time, from what I've seen from other companies.
What drives you to 100 million, though?
What drives me is somebody looked me in the eye and said, "There's no reason why you can't do that in that market." So somebody believed in me, and that's all it took. That was the trigger. I'm so focused right now, John, that I haven't really thought of, the other things, the shiny objects.
I think when you're free, when you say free from your business, I think freedom emerges. It's not something you do. It's something that happens when you created enough systems that basically you could fire yourself. I mean, if you do $100 million companies, Mike Cottle's role in a $4 million company is probably 50% of the effort it takes to get there.
Right.
But Mike Cottle's role in a $100 million company probably going to be about 0.5%. You know, so freedom emerges. It doesn't just it doesn't something you can grasp or you can get. It's something that just happens as you create more effective systems for creating that profit every single month. That's what I feel about it. How do you feel about that?
I agree. I mean, I think I'm having more fun now than I was before, for sure.
I guess you have to say if you're not having fun in what you're doing, then you know you probably should be free and just cut your business loose if you're not having fun with it. Would you agree?
Well, I mean, anybody that knows me, I have a passion for what I do.
Mike,
sure.
you had to think role playing. We got to end it right now, but obviously role playing and practice. I tell you what, Mike's team, Rick Picard and I were there yesterday and visited his team. Did a little bit of a 4-hour micro seminar on how to create lead turnovers and things like that. And what I saw was an engaged when Rick and I were talking and doing some of our role play, or I call it call simulation, because role play is kind of creepy for a couple guys doing that, but we're doing the verbal package is call simulation, we call it now. So we're doing some call simulation, and we can literally see the guys in the room finishing our sentences or mouthing the words as we were talking. And it's like, that's how engaged this is. So somebody who's doing that, you know that they're practiced, and the expectation is that, oh, I don't like role playing. Guess what? There's no choice. Let's do it right now. I'm doing it now, actually. This is a role play. We're doing it. Just you telling me you don't want to do it, that's role play. So bottom line, that's an important factor. The characteristics to perform. Mike, just go ahead and run through that real quick if you would.
Just, purpose, empowerment, relationship, flexibility, performance, recognition, morale. We really talk a lot about culture and the environment. So when we bring somebody into the company, we're really conscientious of that. Case-by-case basis. You don't want to bring somebody in that's going to ruin what you've already built.
Cool. And knowledge check. Talk about, what was this? I forget this. Did anybody have any questions? So I guess unfortunately we had to wrap it up. Mike, are you going to be here for the next couple of days?
What's that?
You going to be here today and tomorrow, rest of the day?
As long as you'll have me, for sure.
Would you agree to ask any questions that the people have, or if they have some questions, they'd be able to talk? He's approachable. He's one of my heroes. Let's give Mike Cottle a big round of applause.
That was lively, real-time, interactive, and any of you who may be from the generation I am from may remember a book published around 1982 called The 1 Minute Manager, and where he spoke about the 1 minute praising, the 1 minute reprimand, that it's not all fun and games. Good manager has to know how to be tough, how to look the person in the eye, and then ask that question a manager has to ask in just the right way to make sure people know their performance is required and hold employees accountable. The other big takeaway that I got from this excellent presentation was training costs something. But what I have learned as a service manager is that the cost of training is always less than the cost of ignorance. It's something we invest in if we strive to be world class. So what I urge you to do is take the evaluation sheet from Mike and complete it now while it's fresh. Leave it on the edge of your table. We will go around and we will collect the evaluation sheets. Your information is insightful and it's required for continual improvement. Now, I don't know if you've earned a break, but I think I have. So we're going to take a 15-minute break again, answer your voicemails, and check your email. Be back here ready to learn in 15 minutes.